Uh, this is my first live lecture in this group, and this is my second lecture on current affairs. Uh, in the first lecture, I introduced current affairs. So today, this is my first lecture, live lecture, and second lecture in continuation of the first lecture that already I discussed in detail the nature of current affairs. So now when we see current affairs, what does this word mean, current affairs? The word current affairs is not like just saying that we are discussing only what is going on. For example, we can have the domestic affairs of Pakistan, and the questions which will be asked, that is, candidates will be expected to display such general knowledge of history, politics, and international affairs as deemed necessary to interpret current affairs. Okay. Candidates will be expected to display such general knowledge of history, politics, and international affairs is deemed necessary to interpret current affairs. So it means that when we interpret means when we explain, when we elaborate, when we go in details of the current affairs. So we need general knowledge of what? Of history, politics, and international affairs. So we must know the past, present, and future of the current affairs. This is an analytical approach. You people must be sensitized that when you are discussing current affairs, so you must have knowledge of politics, you must have knowledge of history, and you must have knowledge of international affairs. Now, the first topic that we discuss in current affairs, that is Pakistan's domestic affairs. And when we say domestic affairs, so there are three types of domestic affairs: political domestic affairs, economic domestic affairs, and social domestic affairs. So, in this way, we understand Pakistan as a state. If we understand the politics of Pakistan and we understand the economics of Pakistan and the society of Pakistan, so we have a triangle. To understand Pakistan, we need the politics, economics, and society. These are the three important aspects that each student of current affairs must be totally aware. So first I told you that you must have general knowledge of the history, politics, and international affairs to interpret current affairs, because current affairs is not just news, what is going on. You have to interpret, and interpret means that you have to go in analytical details, go beyond the headlines, not just listening to the news, but why the news happen. That is important. Why the news happen, and when the news happen, what will be the consequences. That should be your approach. Then you will be a person who will be in a position that you will be interpreting, you will be explaining. The many people, they can't understand the reality of current affairs because they can't interpret, they can't go in details of those events. So when you are reading a newspaper, so just don't go for the news, go why this news happened, what was the background, and when this news happened, so what will be the consequences. That is expected from you in the current affairs paper. Okay, now If you understand, so I would love that after my lecture, you can make a summary of this lecture. Coming now to the first part, and the first part is political domestic affairs of Pakistan. What are the political domestic affairs of Pakistan? So we study the politics of Pakistan. Now, what is politics? Politics is that when we take collective decisions and those decisions have impact on each and every citizen of the state. So that is called politics. These politics may have impact on the education, on economy, on the pocket, on any aspect of a citizen of a country. So this whole process is called politics. When we there is a kind of antagonism, there is a kind of like opposition to the politics, then it is pure politics. And when there is no opposition, then we call it governance, or we, and in the practical form of governance, then we call it public administration. That is the difference between politics, governance, and public administration. Public administration is done by bureaucracy. So bureaucracy, they do politics in a neutral, objective way. While politicians, they do politics and there is an opposition to those policies. And after the discussion in parliament and the rules, when the strategy is made, so that strategy is called public policy. And that public policy is implemented by bureaucracy. So you must understand, these basics, that what is politics. When you understand the politics, so then you will not look at things from a common person sitting in a tea hall, in a tea stall, and interpreting politics. Your interpretation, that will be totally different. So today I'm tackling the first part of the current affairs syllabus, which is Pakistan domestic affairs, political, economic, and social. Now, who does the politics? The politics is done by politicians. And where they do politics in parliament. How they come to the parliament after a democratic process. So when we say the politics of Pakistan, so it means what is going on in the parliament of Pakistan. So when you study the politics of Pakistan, so you must know what is going on in Pakistan, in the parliament of Pakistan. For example, there is an important amendment, there is an important constitutional development, so you must keep an eye on that. Like 18th Amendment, that was a very important political uh, development in Pakistan. So you must know that what is political development in the backdrop, and then what are the consequences of 18th Amendment when now there is more political autonomy in the provinces. So this is politics. Now, the politics of Pakistan takes place within the framework established by the Constitution of Pakistan. The 1973 Constitution, we must know that what are the demands of this Constitution. Because Pakistan is a federal parliamentary republic. It is federal, parliamentary, and it is a republic. This is the politics of Pakistan, in which provincial governments enjoy a high degree of autonomy and residuary powers. You must know these technicalities of politics. You should not, as I already said, they don't read the news like a layman in a tea stall in a restaurant discussing politics. When you discuss politics, so you must know that Pakistan is a federal parliamentary republic. Provincial governments, they enjoy a high degree of autonomy and the residuary powers. Executive power is vested with the national cabinet, which is headed by the prime minister, who works coherently along with bicameral parliament and the judicature. So you must know these words: judicature, bicameral parliament, Senate and National Assembly. The Prime Minister is the chief executive, there he is the head of the government, while President is head of the state and Prime Minister is head of the government. So don't look when you are the student of current affairs, so don't look at the Prime Minister as Nawaz Sharif or Imran Khan or Benazir Bhutto or a People's Party or other. No, look at him as a representative of the federal government, as head of the government, and then analyze his policies. Now, stipulations set by the Constitution provide a delicate check and balance of sharing powers between executive, legislative, and judicial branches of the government. Where is the checks and balances? The checks and balances are come from the Constitution, and sharing powers between executive, legislative, and judicial branches of the government. So this is the politics of Pakistan. Now the head of the state is the president, who is elected by the electoral college for a 5 year term. The president is a significant authority, but he was more significant until the 18th Amendment, passed in 2010, stripped the presidency of its major powers. Since then, Pakistan has been shifted from a semi-presidential system to a purely parliamentary government. This is the politics of Pakistan when you understand these nuances, when you understand these technical details, that before 18th Amendment, Pakistan was a semi-presidential system, but now it is a purely parliamentary government, because the president is just a symbolic post. There is no like any important. That's why this, or Mamnoon Hussein, we see him only once on 23rd March. We don't see him that much dynamic. In many countries like United States, the president is the most important person. So when we understand the nature of the politics of Pakistan, then we can interpret the current affairs. Now the government consists of three branches: executive, legislative, and judicial. The executive branch consists of the cabinet and is led by the Prime Minister. It is totally independent of the legislative branch that consists of bicameral parliament. Now, the executive branch of Pakistan is totally independent from the legislature. There was a time, like before 1956 Constitution, legislature and executive both were one. But now the National Assembly has nothing to do, which is the Senate, has nothing to do with the executive branch. There is a separation of power between judiciary, executive, and legislature. So in theory, the politics of Pakistan, that is advanced, that is highly advanced, and we have a complete infrastructure for conducting politics in our parliament. The upper house is the Senate, whilst the National Assembly is the lower house. The judicial branch forms with the composition of Supreme Court as an apex court alongside the high courts and other inferior courts. The judiciary function is to interpret the constitution and federal laws and regulations. Now, what is executive, what is judiciary, and what is legislature? So the judiciary function is to interpret the constitution and federal laws and regulations. Interpretation, that is the judicial the function of judiciary. So Pakistan is a multi-party democracy. There are so many parties in Pakistan, multi-party democracy. And then you should know what are the different parties and what is like their agenda. At that time, you must be like very neutral, very objective. You may personally belong to any party, that is your personal right. But you must be, when you are analyzing, interpreting current affairs, So you must be neutral and objective. So military and politics, we will discuss this in another topic. Today my basic purpose is to introduce the first three topics uh, of the syllabus of current affairs. Now, after politics, when we understand this whole scenario of politics, so we come to the next part, and the next part is economics of Pakistan. Now, there is a difference between economics and economy. When we say economics, so that is a branch of social sciences in which we study economy. So economy is the subject matter, while the subject is called economics. So economics of Pakistan basically means what is the economy of Pakistan. So you must have a strong hold on the economy of Pakistan. If you are not like an economist, it doesn't matter. But you must understand what are the economic undercurrents, what is going on in the economy of Pakistan. Now, the economy of Pakistan is the 24th largest in the world in terms of purchasing power parity. Purchasing power parity, PPP. We will discuss this more in our economics group, but you must know these terms that Pakistan is 24th largest in world in terms of purchasing power parity and 42nd largest in terms of national gross domestic product. This is the economy of Pakistan. In PPP, purchasing power parity, it is 24th, while 42nd largest in terms of national gross domestic product, GDP. There is a difference between GDP and PPP. We will discuss this in economics group, in my first introductory lecture in economics group. So Pakistan has a population of around 220 million. Number first, we discuss PPP, GDP, now population. Population is our human resources. How many human resources we have? Human capital. How many people we have to feed and how many people they can be used as human resources and how many people they need education, how many people they need health facilities. So we need population, the data on population, that how many people are living, because in any state population is one of the important element. Each state must have four elements: sovereignty, population, government. So this is important, that we must know about the population in territory, land. Without land you cannot have a state, without people you cannot have a state. So this is another important aspect of economy, that we must understand about the people. Okay, now Pakistan is like fifth or sixth largest country in the world population wise. So because of this population, now we attach this with the nominal GDP per capita. Okay, per capita. Now when we divide our economy, and when we divide it like per person, that's why we need the population. So the nominal GDP per capita is 1.62 US dollar per day. It is like around $2 per day, one person per capita. That is the earning capacity. So that's why Pakistan ranks 147th in the world. 147th. These figures may change a bit. What figures I have? So Pakistan is 42nd in terms of GDP. Pakistan is 24th in terms of PPP, purchasing power parity, and Pakistan, because of the population, it is 147th in the world. Like Canada, it is just 36 million people. So some people say that they don't represent their exact population. If they represent, it may be 50 million. If it is 50 million, so their nominal GDP per capita, it will be reduced. Look, we are 42nd, we are 24th, but because of population, we reach to 147th in the world. So this is, one of the problem. Now, in the economy of Pakistan, another issue, that is Pakistan's undocumented economy is estimated to be 36% of the overall economy, which is not taken into consideration when calculating per capita income. Look, there are so many nuances, there are so many details, that when you want to interpret current affairs, so you must have this kind of background. 36% of the economy of Pakistan, that is undocumented, that is black market, that is not like taken into consideration. So uh, when we take into consideration the 36% of the black economy, or the economy which is not documented, so then maybe the per capita income, because sometimes in figures you see that Pakistan is presented in a very bad shape, but the people, we don't see that nobody is dying of hunger, because that is of the undocumented economy. Pakistan is a developing country, and it is one of the next 11 countries. Next 11 means that Pakistan, next 11 is a group. Next emerging economies, like we have BRICS, where China, South Africa, India, Brazil, they are the members, Russia, BRICS. They are already the emerging economies. But when we say next 11, so next 11 is a group of countries in which Pakistan is included. So it is in the emerging economy, and have a potential to be among the world's large economies in the 21st century. Pakistan has the potential to be one of the large economies in the world. After the decades of war and social instability, serious deficiencies in basic services such as railway, transportation, and electric power generation had developed. The economy is semi-industrialized, with centers of growth along the Indus River. Primary export commodities includes textile, leather goods, sports goods, chemicals, carpets, rugs, and medical instruments. So this was a rundown. This was a summary of the economy of Pakistan. First we discussed the politics of Pakistan, and now the second part of the lecture was economy of Pakistan. And the third one is society of Pakistan, social aspects of Pakistan. So when we talk about the society, the individuals, their interactions, so then we study the culture of Pakistan, the national integration of Pakistan, art, music, religion, these aspects of Pakistan, attitudes of the people as a whole in society, what are the festivals, what are like their social norms, social values. So then we study Pakistan as society. So that is the social aspects. Then we have the socio-economic problems of Pakistan: illiteracy, population, corruption, governance, that there is a lack of good governance. And although this is political problem, but it also come under the social problems. So this was my first live lecture on in the current affairs group. I introduced the first part of the syllabus, where we discussed that when we want to interpret current affairs, so what kind of knowledge do we need? So now from today on, your eyes must be on the politics, economics, and society of Pakistan to interpret current affairs. Current affairs is just not narration of news. It is not collecting news. It is just not reading newspaper, but it is to interpret what is going on. The international affairs we will come later, but the first part of the syllabus, the 20 marks, that is domestic affairs. And domestic affairs are divided into politics, economics, and society. So you people, just I wanted to make you sensitized that please, when you read current affairs, So you should have three-dimensional approach, that what is the political message, the economic message, and the social message. Thank you very much. It is too late here, and we will continue our discussions.